In most programming languages, you have the option of arrays. Arrays are a group of objects that are stored within a particular array. In Python, this is actually called lists. So let's look at how we can actually create a list of objects. One thing to note is that when you have a list of objects, the first position is position 0, and then moving up from to 1 and then 2. So always remember the first object in that particular array or list is numbered 0, and I'll show you how that works now. So let's look at how we can create a simple array. We will create something with a few different objects within that array. Now, arrays are used for things later on where we can do some port scanning and to track the host and the different port numbers, etc. And that's why this is an important lesson to see exactly how we can use arrays effectively. Let's now look at a simple example before we move on to some more complex examples. In this example, we are going to use a list of different numbers to start with. So simply define a variable. In this instant, we will use something called list var. So we type in list var equals, and then we want a group of numbers. So equals, we use the square brackets, and then we start with numbers like 1 to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'll explain exactly how these numbers work shortly and how we can reference them with further functions. So open square brackets and the numbers 1 separated by commas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now that we've got the array or list created, we want to print one number from that list. So we print list var, and then we open brackets and we select the position. So in this instance, we'll use 0, which is the first number in that list. So make sure to remember to use the square brackets around the position number and then normal brackets around the list variable, so that when it prints that particular position. So we have position 0 here. It should find the number 1, as we'll see in the results. As we can see here, it has returned the value 1, which is the first position 0. If I was going to change this to find the last one, for example, the last number, I change that to 5. And if I run this, it now should give us the value 6, which is the last number in that particular list. We can also do an iteration where we can pick some numbers from a range. So let's type in a variable letter, for example. Let's use I for I, and let's look at it being in a range, and let's call it 0, 5, which will then give us all the positions in that list. I need to add a colon at the end of this line to make sure there's no errors. And we want to then print, open brackets, list var, and let's put in the square brackets for the variable I. Now, when I run this, it should give us a list of the values from that particular list. So you'll see 1 through to 5 appear here, which shows that it is working. So in this simple example, we've looked at a list of integers. Now let's look at how we can store a list of strings. To do that, we need to add a few additional things like single quotes. And let's go in and type in a variable name. Let's use list str to store strings, and we'll use just a couple letters, A and B. So list str equals, we